To the explainer. Today we're doing something a little different and honestly absolutely fascinating. We're going to pop the hood and dissect the exact nuts and bolts mechanics of a highly effective storytelling script. You know the ones, right? Those viral, warm-hearting stories that just keep you glued to your screen until the very last second. Well, today we're actually looking at the raw source material, the exact blueprint and prompt used to generate a deeply emotional, tightly structured narrative. It's like a giant puzzle, and we're going to explore exactly how a compelling story is engineered literally from the ground up.
So think about that first. You do. This brilliantly illustrates the exact 15 to 20 second cinematic hook that our source material demands. The prompt specifically requires the writer to start with a powerful hook to create immediate, intense curiosity. I mean, by placing a vulnerable kid in a desperate situation with this unbelievable temptation, you've instantly grabbed the viewer's attention. You're completely invested before the story even really gets going.
Section 1. The perfect storytelling formula.
Okay, into this. Before we get totally swept away in the emotional narrative, we really need to look at the strict technical blueprint behind it all. When you're constructing a narrative designed for maximum impact, constraints are actually your best friends. The source material lays out some very specific parameters here. The script has to be exactly 7 to 8 minutes long, targeted squarely at a USA audience, and use simple, conversational American English. Oh, and it demands a precise word count of 900 to 1,200 words. These aren't just arbitrary numbers. This is a mathematically proven formula for pacing and audience retention. It's clinical, it's precise, and it sets the absolute boundaries for all the creativity that follows.
Now, it's really interesting here. Tone constraint dictated by the prompt. It clearly states the story must be original and cinematic, not a fairy tale. Furthermore, the instructions explicitly tell the writer to avoid repeating common, cliched storylines. These rules really set the stage for a grounded, realistic story. It forces the narrative away from being, overly sappy or magical. Instead, it demands an authentic, gritty feel that actually resonates with a modern audience. It basically has to feel like it could happen to someone you know.
Section 2. Full cinematic hook.
Let's transition from those directly into the setting of our story. We're moving right into the snowy, unforgiving streets of New York, with our protagonist, a 12-year-old boy named Ethan. $10,000. Just let that massive number sink in for a second. By dropping this life-changing amount of cash into a lost wallet, we're thrusting the audience right into the high stakes of the plot. The source material demands suspense, and honestly, nothing creates suspense quite like contrasting this massive sum of money with a vulnerable 12-year-old standing all alone in the snow.
Section 3. The moral dilemma.
Reach the crucial conflict of the narrative, where the emotional stakes perfectly align with the technical requirements of the prompt. Consider the heavy balance at play here. On one side, we have Ethan's family, who the prompt specifies is struggling severely with finances. On the other side, we have Ethan's ultimate decision to return the found wallet. The source uses this intense financial struggle to dramatically heighten the tension of Ethan's choice. If his family was wealthy, returning the money, that's an easy decision. But because his family is in desperate need, returning that 10 grand is an agonizing, heroic sacrifice. Let's see how this builds into the next major plot point.
Section 4. Expected reward.
To a shift toward realistic dialogue and a deeply emotional encounter. The prompt requires a very specific sequence of storytelling beats here to build toward the emotional climax. Step 1. Ethan tracks down and meets the owner of the wallet, who happens to be a wealthy businessman. Step 2. The businessman isn't just thankful, the script requires him to be deeply moved by the young boy's honesty. And Step 3. A cash reward is immediately offered to Ethan. This dynamic between the struggling young boy and the wealthy businessman is a classic storytelling engine. It's perfectly designed to pull you, the audience, right in.
Point is how Ethan responds to that reward. By having Ethan actually refuse the cash, stating that he only did what was right, the narrative's integrity is firmly anchored. The source material demands a highly emotional moment, and this is absolutely it. It proves that Ethan's character isn't driven by a potential payout. His honesty is entirely pure. This decision elevates our protagonist from just being a lucky kid on the street to a true moral exemplar.
Section 5. Ripple effect. Ethan's impeccable character, we now should focus to a secret, life-altering change. I want to slow down the pacing here for a moment, because this is where the suspense really pays off for the viewer. Days after their encounter, the businessman secretly changes Ethan's life. He doesn't just hand him a few $100, he gifts him a full, secret scholarship to one of the best schools in New York. This fulfills the prompt's strict mandate for a satisfying cinematic resolution. It rewards the protagonist's integrity in a massive, systemic way, rather than just giving him a fleeting cash prize.
tracing this long-term payoff dictated by the prompt. At age 12, he finds the wallet in the snow. Days later, the secret scholarship changes his entire trajectory. Years later, he achieves massive success as an entrepreneur. The prompt specifically asks that successful adult Ethan credits that single honest decision in the snow as the exact moment that changed his future forever. It brilliantly ties the beginning hook directly back to the resolution, showing the compounding, lifelong interest of good character.
Section 6. Ultimate life lesson. Final requirement dictated by the script prompt, delivering a powerful emotional message to close out the story. It sounds incredibly simple when broken down to just honesty and integrity, right? But this minimalist conclusion is exactly how the source dictates we wrap up the structural emotional arc. After 7 to 8 minutes of carefully planned suspense, snowy streets, intense moral dilemmas, and secret scholarships, the whole shebang is reverse engineered to land squarely on these two concepts. You are meant to walk away from the screen with this profound, crystal clear takeaway about the sheer power of doing the right thing.
Brings us to our final thought for this explainer. If honesty is its own reward, what does your $10,000 moment look like? It's really something to ponder. You've now seen the exact mechanical constraints and the step-by-step blueprint of how this story was built to captivate you, but the ultimate message? It remains incredibly real and powerful. Thank you so much for joining me as we deconstructed this fascinating storytelling prompt. Keep questioning the media you consume, keep learning, and I'll catch you on the next explainer.